Hello and welcome to episode 160 on the From Impossible to Inevitable podcast. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me today and pushing play on today's episode. Today, I have a really kind of a duh concept for you with a fun thought experiment. So, this is going to be a good one. And I'm really excited about it. I was sitting outside one day. I've been spending a lot of time outside, especially because the weather is so nice. I love the heat. I love summertime. So I have been spending a lot of time outside, and it has been so delightful. So I was sitting outside one day, and a lot of the time, I have my journal with me. Actually, all the time, I have my journal with me. But this time, I was like, I'm not going to write. I'm not going to sit here and write. I'm just going to sit here and be present and observe and soak in my surroundings and soak in on this delightful sun on my face and feel the breeze and just be here. And as I was sitting there, really feeling into being there, I realized something. I realized that we forget the newness of every day. We totally forget. Now, I was sitting out in the morning. I can't remember exactly what time it was. It was maybe around 9. And I still had, I mean, I'd gotten up at 4:30, so I had, 4 hours under my belt. But the day was still fresh. It was still ahead of me. I still had so much I could do. And I sat there and I thought, we forget the newness of every day. So I've got a few statistics for you for this episode. I'm not really a statistics science person, but I think it's kind of fun and fascinating. And if you find the statistics off, then you are more than welcome to go do your own research. But research has estimated about 40 to 50% of our daily behavior is run by habit. And I think this is the reason we forget the newness of every day. Because we are running by habit. At this point, when my alarm goes off, I am in complete habit mode, right? I turn my alarm off, I put my watch on, I put my workout clothes on, I take my medication, I grab my journal, I grab my sweater because it's freaking cold in the basement. I let the dog out, I put my shoes on, I come down, I get on my bike, I ride, blah, blah, whatever. That whole first hour and a half of my every single day is run by habit. I don't think about any of it. I just follow through and do it. But if 40 to 50% of our daily behavior is run on habit, and we have like the natural flow of consequences from our previous days, consequences being either good or bad, right? It's just like because we made this decision to not do the dishes, I now have a sink full of dishes today to deal with, right? Like we just have that natural carryover and flow. It's no wonder we totally forget that we can totally make new choices, new decisions, stop, start, or continue doing the things every single day. We totally forget that. We totally forget that. Now we have the ability to stop, start, and do anything or do things differently every single day. So I have this little thought experiment for you, okay? And, if you're operating heavy machinery, driving, whatever, what have you, please don't close your eyes for this. Please be safe. But if you're in a space where you can sit down and close your eyes and really play full out with me, really immerse yourself into this thought experiment, it could be really fun. Okay? So have a seat. We're not doing a meditation or anything like that. We're not doing anything crazy. I just want you to go on this little journey with me to feel what I'm talking about, to feel what I mean. So pretend for a moment it is a brand new day, right? You just got up, okay? And pretend you are an alien, right? An alien that has just descended out of space to inhabit a person's body, this person's body, which is your body, by the way, right? You are an alien who has just descended into your body. You, as the alien, you can't do anything about this person's previous decisions, the way they have previously lived, the previous choices they made, right? You can't do anything about that. However, you, as the alien, you have none of this person's habits, none of their routines, none of their comfort zone attachments, none of their stories, none of their fears. You inhabiting this person, this body, you can see their strengths, you can see their opportunities, you can see their potential, and you have this fresh start of a day before you. I just got chills. Did you just get chills? You have this fresh start of a day before you. You can see all of the opportunity that is abundant in this person, and you have none of their baggage, none of it. You can't even sense their fears. You can't even sense their doubts. You can't even sense their comfort zone or their habits or their routines. You can't feel any of that. What do? You, as the alien, you're in charge of this body. You can now pursue any of the opportunities. You can now, today's day one, you can start any routine. You can start any habit. You can pursue anything. What do? What do you do? How do you approach this day? You, as the alien, do you have fears that you heed, or do you ignore them? What do you do? We don't approach our days like that. That's not a normal approach to our day. I don't sit down in the morning and think, I'm an alien. What am I going to do? But think about that, because it really opens the door of like, what will I do? What will I do today? Right? And of course, as you get going, as you are you and not the alien, you will have like fears crop up. You will have doubts crop up. You will have like, wait, this is so uncomfortable. I've never done this before. So it's a little bit harder to pursue, right? Simple, not easy. However, understanding and acknowledging that you are choosing to just continue living on how you've always lived on is power. Because then you're like, oh, you step out of the habit for a second. You step out of it and you're like, I'm still continuing to do this. This is the choice that I'm continually making, right? I've got children. I continually choose to take care of them. I continually choose to make sure they are clothed and fed and mostly clean. I continually make that choice. And I want to continually make that choice. So this isn't about redoing your life wholesale. This is just acknowledging the things that you want to continue, the things that you want to stop, and the things that would be valuable to start. So this is what I mean by the newness of the day. Every single day, you get this chance. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be at the beginning of the day. It could be every single day at 1:11 p.m., right? Like you could be like, you know what? This morning was crap. I am starting fresh for the rest of the day, right? We are going to just continue on and it's going to be a great day. I said to one of my daughters the other day, it was like, I don't know, maybe 6:45 in the morning and she was having a meltdown. And I was like, it is way too early to have a meltdown. Oh my gosh. And so I looked at her and I was like, look, we're not doing this today. And then I backed up because she does have that choice, right? And I said, okay, you get to choose your behavior today. Do you want to have a rough day? Do you want to have meltdowns today? Do you want to fight today? Like, is this what you want? If this is what you want, like, let's keep going because then we'll just travel this road together, you and me. It's like, but if you want to have a good day, if you want to have some fun, if you want to get along, you have to choose to change your behavior. And she ran off and cried, right? She's 5. And then, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, she comes back to me. She goes, I've thought about my behavior. I decided I want to have a good day. Excellent. Let's have a good day. And we had a good day. So you get to make that choice at any point. Yes, we were still very much in the morning with her, but you don't have to wait till the morning to have a good day, right? Like if you've had a crap day, you can turn it around anytime. You can engage in this newness at any time. You can be like, you know what? I'm the alien. I'm totally detaching from how this morning has been, and I'm going to create something new because that's the experience that I actually want. Valuable. Okay, here's where it gets scary, right? Here's where it gets so scary. We talked about your behavior. That's what we started this out as, is your behavior. So, someone really smart, who was it? Fred Luskin of Stanford University did some research on thoughts. And he discovered, estimated, whatever, that a human being has approximately 60,000 thoughts per day. And 90% of these are repetitive. Holy hell, 90%. I was sitting there after I read that and I was like, is that true? Is that really true? Because that seems frightening. I don't want to just like be thinking the same thoughts all day long. Although I'm sure I do. And so I was thinking about this and I was searching for evidence that this was true, searching for evidence in my life, searching for evidence in my experience that this is true. And I realized it's probably pretty true because think about a time that you were talking to somebody, or even just in your own head, but really think about a time you were talking to somebody, maybe you were problem solving, or maybe you were, thinking about something to do that weekend or whatever, and they make a suggestion, they say something to you, and you go, "Oh, I've never thought about that. That's a great idea." I think, and this is Megan, that Fred Luskin, I don't know if he said this, I didn't read it from him, but this is, science by Megan. I think every time we have that new thought that breaks the 90% of our repetitive thinking, we have that surprised feeling that, like, I never thought about that. And maybe it's not as dramatic as I'm making it right now, but it's that, like, we stop for a minute and we chew on it and we're like, oh, that's really interesting, right? But those new thoughts, they stop us. They catch our attention, which means it doesn't happen all the time, right? Because if it happened all the time, we wouldn't be surprised about it. So anyway, that was the evidence I found that this was at least fairly true, right? So if 90% of your thoughts are repetitive or habitual, how important is it to cultivate some intentional thoughts, some like kind thinking? I shared an episode, it was the Monday morning episode, which is a good one, about the way my brain helped me out when I was sitting on the couch feeling unhappy, right? I was annoyed, but I wasn't surprised by it. I wasn't surprised by that little exchange I had in my brain. I was annoyed because I was like, dude, sass pants, you are crossing the line. But when we are getting these habitual thought patterns that are unhelpful, they just perpetuate the unhelpfulness. And I know I've done episodes on this before, but like our thoughts lead to our emotions, right? You can think about something that's super, super sad, and all of a sudden you are so sad. You are so weighed down. You are like ready to crawl back into bed, and you're just like, I'm done. Or you can think about something that's like really exciting and you can like totally get pumped for it and you can just like freak out, right? But it's your thoughts that start that cycle. So if you get into these negative thought patterns, it's just going to drag you down. And if they're habitual negative thought patterns, then you're just going to feel like you live there. So it is so, so critically important to cultivate thought patterns that are positive, that are helpful, that are constructive, that build you up. And that happens so slowly, my friends. It happens so slowly, and it happens deliberately, to be honest. It happens so deliberately. And if this is something that you really want to tackle, I highly recommend you tackle it in your journal, because when you write things down, you can see how inane some things are, right? It's just like, oh, I'm being, I've written things down like, I'm mad about this and I'm frustrated about this and I'm annoyed about this, blah, 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 blah. And then by the end of my tirade, I'm like, okay, that was dramatic, like, and I work it out and I work through these thought patterns and I lead myself into a better place because writing it makes you slow down. And the act of like actually physically writing connects the thoughts to the paper. It connects the thoughts to what you are actually creating. And it makes it a little bit more real and a little bit more tangible. And sometimes when things are real and tangible, you can deal with it, right? If every time we had a negative thought pattern and we were just like instantly, magically, cosmically surrounded by trash, we would be able to pick it up and throw it away and be like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, this is clearly garbage, right? But the thing is that doesn't happen. It's all in our head, right? So we don't necessarily see that they're trash thoughts, that they're garbage thoughts, that we can just pick it up, throw it away, and be done with it. We don't have to hold on to it. And we certainly don't have to attach it to ourselves and make it mean anything about us. So maybe that's what you do. Maybe that's the experiment, or not experiment. Maybe that's the task, is that you write down these negative thought patterns and you crumple them up and you throw them all around you and you're just like, ah. And then you pick them up and you throw them away and you let it go. And you write down and you keep and you treasure what you actually want going around in your head on a 90% basis. Bananas to me. That is so, I have a friend who told me I should say crackers. That's crackers, right? Like I can't do it. That's bananas. That is such a high percentage. And so to not be in control of what that percentage is, at least to some degree, is frightening. So get a handle on your behaviors and get a handle on your thoughts, because your habits are shaping your experience. They're shaping who you're becoming. They're shaping what you create. They're shaping your life experience. And if you think that life experience is just life experience and that's just that, and there's no way to change it, then think about, go down to a part of your town that you rarely visit. Maybe it's like, be safe, but like maybe it's the area of town that's kind of sketch, or maybe it's the area of town that actually has like a gate and you've got to like slide in behind somebody. Those people are living different life experiences, which means that there are other experiences available. And those might not be the experiences that you want, which is fine, but you get to choose your experience. I love this analogy. I'm going to give you this analogy and then we're going to sign off. There's this analogy of this horrific car accident or, wreck or whatever on the freeway, and it's backed up traffic. No one's moving. No one's going anywhere. Everything is at standstill stop, right? Everything. There are people in that traffic block who are losing their minds because they are stuck in traffic, right? They are just like, they are so angry. They are so frustrated. They are going off the rails emotionally and mentally. And then there are people in that traffic that are like, you know what? I used this time to call my grandma. It was great. We had a 45-minute chat and we caught up, and, like, my boss can't be mad. I was trying to get to work, blah, blah, whatever. Like, two completely different experiences of the same event, which means you can choose. Okay, to circle back, there's the newness of the day. If this is the first thing you're listening to today, or even if it's not, really, you get to choose the newness of every moment, every minute, every hour. You can decide at any time that the clock goes back to 0 and you get to start, stop, continue, whatever it is that's important to you. You totally have that choice. And if you're having trouble seeing options, step out, be the alien, inhabit your own body without any of the baggage, and see what's available to you. And if you feel like nothing's available, I invite you to implement one of my favorite mantras, which is, I am open to seeing things differently. Please help me see things differently. I totally believe in you. I totally love you. Until next time, bye for now.